All right. Good afternoon, divers. I see we are prepared. We are prepared for the dive. How's it going, C. Grover, Deshipu, and DigiDevin? Nice to see all of you. What do we got here? Can I make display? Do I need to click it? There we go. Nice. All right. Let's get a few things situated here. Like my chair, first and foremost. Not gonna work very well because of where the wheels are at, but we'll see how it goes. I dive pretty shallow. Yeah, well, in actual water, I'm with you there. In code, I can dive pretty deep, although not as deep as Scott. All right, so welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Tim. This is the Deep Dive, which is a weekly live stream program. My name is Tim. I think I just said that. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. This stream was started by and is ordinarily done by Scott Shawcroft, the lead developer of CircuitPython, and he's usually showing peek into whatever he's working on that week inside of the CircuitPython core. If you're brand new and you haven't caught the stream before, and you don't know what anything I just said means, you can learn more about this project at circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. When you choose to use CircuitPython on these devices, they will typically plug into your computer with a USB cable. They'll show up like a thumb drive, and then you can edit a Python code file on that thumb drive, and as soon as you save it, the actual microcontroller, the computer inside these little chips, will recognize that you saved the file, and it will execute the new version of that Python code for you. That is kind of the 50,000-foot view of what's going on with CircuitPython, and this stream is a stream that covers kind of the deep down internals of CircuitPython. When Scott's here, he's, like I said, typically working on cutting edge stuff deep inside the core. I don't tend to venture quite as deep, although I do a lot of work on libraries and infrastructure and surrounding stuff. So it is still pretty involved as far as the actual coding and programming and into the weeds of the technology goes. CircuitPython is an open source project. Anyone's allowed to run it on their boards. There are 517 devices right now that support CircuitPython. You don't have to pay anyone to license CircuitPython to make it work on your board or anything like that. Anyone's allowed to make a build of CircuitPython that runs on their own hardware. There are lots of different third parties. You can see them all listed here. The buy names are whoever made these hardware. So if you search through this list, you'll be able to see there's loads and loads of different third parties who have all created CircuitPython support for their various respective devices. And the CircuitPython project, while it is open source, like I just mentioned, it is primarily funded by Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. They're paying the folks who work on the project. So Scott, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, the lead developer is paid by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. There are another couple of folks in a full-time development team who are paid to work on CircuitPython, and there are some folks like me who are paid to work on the project part-time, and all of us, are paid by Adafruit to do so. So obviously, huge thanks to them. And if you want to help support CircuitPython, one of the easiest ways you can do it is just purchase hardware from them over at adafruit.com. They design and manufacture electronic devices over in New York, although they are in the midst of moving right now. So there are delays in shipments on stuff like that. You can learn more if you click this thing up here. But they design and manufacture all these little electronic widgets out of New York. They'll ship them to you. You can find not only the microcontrollers themselves, but you can also find all sorts of external bits and bobs, widgets, add-ons that you can plug into your microcontroller in order to build a larger project with. And if you choose to use CircuitPython, then you can write Python code that interacts with all those other various bits of hardware. Okay, let's do a couple of things real quick. First of all, I should close this, and I should do something else here real fast. I need something to copy. It doesn't matter. Oops, doesn't matter really what it is, but we need to copy something. Okay, there we go. Let me catch up on the chat. We got this one diving into the void. Where do they have rabbits that live in such holes? Narnia, Wonderland, must be down under. Yeah, they got a lot of crazy stuff over in Australia. Maybe I heard of the war with the emus. The war with the rabbits is not going well either. Jeez, I haven't heard of the war with the rabbits. Heard about emus. You know what else is crazy in Australia is kangaroos. Honestly, I find kangaroos crazy. They're so huge. Anyway, also over on YouTube, Logic 3000. Hello to you, my friend. Thanks for tuning in over on YouTube. If you would like to ask questions or interact with the stream, the places to do that are on Discord in the live broadcast chat channel on the Adafruit Discord or on the YouTube chat. I have both of those pulled up on the screen down below me there. And so if you want to ask a question or anything, that's the place to do it, where I will try to keep an eye on it. Coffee cheers, anyone, if you've got afternoon coffee. Okay, I have a couple of things I have lined up sort of to look into. I'll say lined up in my head because I didn't actually load the website for this one. Circuit, Python, ImageLoad, GitHub. So I noticed this came in this week. In fact, just yesterday. CH, and I still don't know the proper way to pronounce this person's name, so I apologize, my friend, if you have a preferred pronunciation. I don't know if you'll ever see this or not, but if you do, and you do have a preferred way to pronounce your name, and you let me know, I'd be happy to do it that way. But for now, I'll just spell it out, CH4NSUK3. This person last week added support to ImageLoad for using JPEGs, for kind of wrapping JPEG I/O, so that the API between showing an image, a JPEG image on the display, and the API for showing a BMP image on the display now can be basically the same if you are using ImageLoad to do that. Thanks to this person with a PR last week, which is super cool. We looked at this on my stream last week, as well as some other stuff. And this same person just yesterday submitted PNG transparency support. So we got PNG support. In fact, Hug Report in the chat, Deshipu, I think, originally worked on the PNG support for us. This person has come along and added the transparency to it. Whoa. Oh, okay. I see. Which is really cool. I have not read this yet, so let's read through this. Fixes 65, which is just the thing asking about doing transparency. Handles reading of the chunk into the reading of the chunk in the PNG file that handles transparency. The TRNS chunk. This data is based off the palette indexes and simply indicates alpha values 0 to 255. Index 0 in this chunk correlates to index 0 of the color palette, and then it goes from there. Okay, so it's like another list, basically, it sounds like. And I'm personally pretty unfamiliar with the PNG format, so if anyone watching is a little bit more familiar, this may be redundant information for you, but this is all first-time stuff for me. I don't really know how PNGs work beyond they show up on the screen and they support transparency. It's about all the more I ever knew about them. Let's see, this chunk can have fewer indexes than the palette, but it's not allowed to contain more. Okay, it can be smaller, but it can't be bigger. Because of this, I implemented a value error check for this, and provides hopefully a helpful message about specifically what's wrong. I wonder, is that would that be a malformed PNG? Like you'd have to generate a bad PNG file to get into that situation? Or, let's see, without this, the user will instead receive errors related to palette errors, which will likely be more confusing if you don't know what's going on under the hood when you load an image. For performance checking, I measured average load times, 150 image load calls on a test image, 120 pixels, square, 256 color palette with transparency enabled for the first and last index as a sort of worst case scenario. Okay, so it sounds like it's probably iterating the list, and so first and last means we have to iterate the entire list. I settled on reading the entirety of the chunk at once into a list and then run a for loop through it looking for the interesting values. Then setting palette make transparent with the correct index numbers, reading the data into a list. Then working on that list, then working on that list proved to be more efficient speed-wise rather than the alternative of reading a single byte at a time. And then working with that, read times can add up quickly. Using a for loop also proved to be faster than using comprehension or enumerate by a noticeable margin. Has the bonus side effect of keeping the code easy to understand. Added the following because Pylon started crying about some stuff. Cool. I thought I'd implement transparency. I think there was... I don't think there was, or I think it didn't break anything, but I don't think it supported either. I think it just went to black, although it's been a while since I messed with PNGs, honestly. I don't remember what all it did. Or it might have gone to black or white, or it might have gone to the first index or something like that. I don't know what it did. But yeah, this code here does read whatever that, and again, I don't really know the internals of this, but this code here is reading this separate chunk and then building up this list and then running through the palette and make transparenting on that. So I'm going to test this out. I have a PyPortal loaded up here, which I will test this on. Let me grab the code for it. I don't even know. Do I have this one? Do I have this one cloned? Let's see. ImageLoad? Nice. Yeah, we have it cloned because I worked on it last week. Which is, let's see, I never tried. I don't think alpha channel, though. I don't think there's alpha, which is an alpha channel needed for transparency. That part. Yeah, I mean, alpha, I don't know the differences all the way. To the best of my knowledge, alpha is like a synonym for transparency, basically. But I'm sure, like, there's probably more technologically to it than that. I don't actually have much color theory or even the computational kind of display graphics side of the knowledge. So we want a GHPR list, GHPR checkout 82, checkout. Okay, we got to give it the number as well. Okay, now we want to grab that, put it on the device. Which ImageLoad, is ImageLoad built in? Do I have a www folder on my device? No, okay, I'm in the wrong place. I don't think it is. Is ImageLoad frozen in? I'm gonna double check just because I don't know. Not for indexed, and non-indexed ones are not supported at the moment anyway because I never bothered to implement the filters. This could be an interesting Hacktoberfest ticket, by the way. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Implement grayscale and RGB PNGs. Yeah, that'd be super cool. I think that's what was stopping me from using true color PNGs. Though I found that I can generate an 8-bit PNG from the GitHub avatar, but unsure if it's indexed 8-bit. Another one would be to re-implement GIF images in ImageLoad using... Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah, wrapper around GIF.io. Yeah, that's true. Although the API... So on GIF.io, do you have to call like an animate or something? I think there's a function you call to advance the frames. So the API would end up being... like it would add to the ImageLoad API basically, or I guess it could return the GIF and then you could call it on that maybe. That could probably work. I forget the exact way the GIF.io API is situated. If like, does it create you an object that maps to a tile grid, or does it create its whole own thing? I don't remember off the top of my head. 710, we could update maybe. (911) we are on now, so let's grab that. And this fix the display, I think, on this maybe. Well, was the Titano one of the ones with the problem? That part actually I don't know for sure if it was. It is a SMD51 with a display. While that's loading, I'll drop this. If anyone happens to be interested, if anyone out there is interested in making CircuitPython libraries, though, like making and sharing and publishing CircuitPython libraries, there is a tool that we use to do that that is called Cookie Cutter. I'm going to load up this real quick. So I think it's called Creating and Sharing. So this is where I always reference whenever I'm starting a new library. There is a tool that we use called Cookie Cutter. This page inside this Creating and Sharing a Library talks about what Cookie Cutter is and how to use it. The high level version is Cookie Cutter. It's a command line utility. You run it, and then you go through this list of prompts, and you fill in an answer for each one. And then at the end of it, it's going to kind of take all your answers and generate you a project structure, all the files and folders that make up a project using those responses to all those questions. Super cool utility. There is a bit of a barrier to entry, I think, though, because of the command line nature of it. I whipped up a proof of concept over the last couple of nights that is basically turning cookie cutter template questions into a web form. If anyone is interested in this, I can drop the link, or it's in the CircuitPython channel if you scroll up to last night. I put the link in there, but it's basically cookiecutter.foamyguy.com. You do need /cookie, and then you need to set the template you want to use, but I actually have currently allow listed to only allow the CircuitPython template. So that's the only one that works, but the concept, the tool itself, theoretically, it could support others if you took that limitation off of it. If anyone is interested in this and would like to give it a try, I would definitely appreciate it. It's out there. I think it's working, but I haven't done super thorough testing. I haven't looked through all the files that get generated to double check and make sure everything is exactly correct. But as far as I know, it should be working. You should be able to choose your option there for your target bundle and then just enter into all these fields the exact same things that you would put into the command line utility if you were doing it that way. You click generate project, and then it takes a second to generate it for you, and it redirects you to a page with a link that goes to a zip for you to download that project. So if anyone is interested in that kind of stuff and you try it out, please reach out to me and let me know how it goes. I definitely will appreciate any extra eyes on it. Please share the cookie cutter form. Yeah, let me drop the link here, because it's daunting, absolutely daunting. I missed the live show last night. Another one would be, right, wrapping that. To be correct, you're supposed to load all the frames and then superimpose them onto one another. I see, okay, so you'd load only one when we're wrapping it with ImageLoad, sounds like. So yeah, this thing I think could be pretty cool. I will say the way that it is set up right now, it's a Django web application, which means it needs like a server to run on. Which is not necessarily the best. It's not usually how we try to deploy stuff with CircuitPython. Lots of the other stuff just uses GitHub or Actions or whenever it can do something like that. That tends to be where we go, or S3 buckets and that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. Probably if this idea does gain some steam, it might make sense to try to figure out a different way to deploy it that's not a Django web app that doesn't require a full server. But proof of concept is there. It's thrown together. It seems to work. And I would love it if anyone else gives it a try. So with that, we are back to this. We are on 9.1.1. I'm just going to grab ImageLoad from here. Actually, what I was doing was making sure it's not frozen in. I'm going to do that by import Adafruit ImageLoad. And that should fail, yeah, because I deleted it. Okay, so we're definitely not frozen in. We're going to grab that. We are going to put it over into lib. Types. I thought that said shapes off the first glance of my eye there. I do have about 2 or 3 libraries that I could contribute to Community Bundle with it. I have avoided doing it because Cookie Cutter is too complicated. Looking forward to trying your web form. Nice. Yeah, that's the perfect. You are essentially then the perfect like target user that I'm trying to make the process easier for. Like, I will say, after you generate your project files, you do still have to fight the battle with Git and GitHub. So like, there still is some level of pretty relatively advanced technical stuff, in my opinion. Like once you use Git and GitHub every day, it gets a bit easier. But if you are new to it or you don't do that stuff every single day, which like, you know, how often are you starting up projects, right? It's relatively rare. So if you're out of practice, that stuff can get pretty hairy pretty quick, especially when the commands stop working or start showing errors that are different from whatever's in the guide or whatever. So it's like, as different versions of stuff come out, it can definitely get crazy on you. So the cool thing about this is it makes it so that, you know, we kind of solve that craziness once inside the server, and then, you know, everyone else on any OS, on any platform, on any browser, they are then able to use it, get the version that works, and not have to worry about anything as far as actually getting it running themselves. I should grab the actual text, not the file. So that is going to grab testimage.png, which probably does not have any transparency in it. So we will do that first, just to make sure it's still working on this one, and then I'll go and edit it or make a new one and then put some transparency in it. Did that paste? Oh, test image, yeah, it is. Okay. Actually, there might be. What is that? Let's look at that closer. Let's look at that in GIMP. It might be, actually. I already have transparency in it. Might be interesting to package the Django app into a Beware app so that that can make it so anyone can download it and just run it locally without having to start the Django server. There's a talk on doing that. Interesting. I had not heard of that. Beware app. Let me copy this real quick. I'll definitely look into that. There is the other thing on that front I was thinking of was there's a website called Python Anywhere, which allows you to deploy Python web apps into the cloud, and they have a free account, which is like limited, but would be able to do this kind of thing with it. Let's build a Beware app that uses Django. Nice. Okay, so this makes it into like a little runnable thing you can just do locally there. Yeah, actually, if it were a local app, it could get a lot simpler. I will say Django has got a load of different stuff inside of it that is not necessarily needed for this process. It just happens to be a thing that I'm very familiar with. Thanks for the link on that, by the way. I'll check into that. Beware is a setup tools to package Python app into real apps. Nice. I do have, let's see where we're at. Will I still have to fight Pylint and Black and Rough? Yeah. So this doesn't help you with the Pylint or the Rough or Black or anything like that. This is only, I mean, it will generate the config files and all that. And it will not necessarily help you fight that stuff. You'll still have to so basically the deal would be you would use that form, that would generate your project structure, and then you would put your code, if you already have, if you've been working on it on your device or whatever, you would grab that code, you would paste it into that project structure, and then you'd be able to run pre-commit because you would get the config file from the template. But when you do run pre-commit that first time, it depends on whatever's in that code. You'll have to solve whatever things pop up, or go through and tweak the config as well, which I think is something to keep in mind too. You can, especially on community bundle libraries, like the way you set up pre-commit is optional, right? Like you don't necessarily, if you just take the cookie cutter template, you're going to get roughly the same thing that we use in the Adafruit libraries. But you totally could tweak it some as well. So if you don't want to be as strict in your own projects with Rough or Pylint or Black or whatever, you totally can tweak that thing as well. It's you got to know how to go and find the right stuff, which can be a bit of a task. Anyway, there definitely is some transparency in this, so we will see what it does. I can run the old version too at some point. We can kind of compare. We will need. Is there a background? Actually, there is. Okay, I was gonna say, is there? So we'll see what this does. Well, this is the new version, so we'll see what it does, and then I'll switch to the old version too. I think that did not run, did it? I didn't put the image in the right folder. Okay, let's just delete that. Also, oops. There we go. The other thing I learned about recently was called PyWebView, which is a way to build, it's almost like Electron. It's a way to build a web page, but with a Python script inside of it, kind of. Or a better way to think of it in my mind, I guess, is it's a way to build to build a Python app around a browser instance, and you can interact between JavaScript in the browser and Python in the code that's launching the browser. So it's like having a web view on Android, or I presume iOS is similar, but it's in Python on CPython, which is kind of cool, which is another way that you can make GUIs, graphical applications. So you could potentially probably do the cookie cutter thing with that, with something like that as well. There's also PyScript, which lets you use MicroPython instead of JavaScript. Whoa. I don't think I heard about that one. I'll have to definitely check into that. Instead of JavaScript. Okay. Actually, yeah, transparency, well, we're on the new version, I guess, right? So definitely transparency is good here. We have Blinka on the white background with no rectangle, right? We have no sort of box around Blinka. So let's try the old version of the library, the currently released version, and then we can compare. And then if it is not different, we can see about changing the image and see if there's a way we can kind of exercise the new code or whatever. What I'm going to do here is just take this Adafruit ImageLoad PR. What was it? I think it's 82. I'm just guessing, but okay, I want this to refresh, although I don't think it matters. Then I'm just going to go circup install. So that's going to give us the released one. I'll have to comment for possible improvement in memory handling. Nice. Thanks for taking a look. We will restart. Oh, does seem to be the same. So now, is this a... $255. It does look like it is a indexed. The thing mode doesn't look for it is a mode. Okay. So then, actually, I'm misunderstanding what this was. Maybe. Okay. We have the GIMP context menu. Yeah, that's true. Well, we have the white behind it, but we could, yeah, I could do something with like texture or whatever. PyScript is PyScript WASM plus MicroPython in the browser. Super cool. There's some interesting stuff, and it's constantly changing, improving recently this year. Nice. I'll definitely check into that. 82, nice. Memory's better than I gave it credit for. So actually, yeah, I guess I don't get... So this is a... Oh, nice. This person's like changing this live right now, even. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they're watching. If you're watching, hello, and thanks for doing this. All right, so if we're in the chunk of the transparency data, if the size is greater than the length of the palette, we raise the error. We have transparency data file.read the size amount for I in range length of the transparency data. If that data is 0, then we are calling make transparent there. Does the old code call make transparent somehow? How does the old code work? So I should have, let's refresh. I should have maybe done, let's get the Python version so I can add some prints. I wonder if I can bind that to F5. It'd be nice if I could just F5 refresh this. So does this have make? It does not have any make transparent before. How is that? Oh, this is called, I'm being silly. This is calling make transparent 0. So this is like manually doing it in the user code. So if I understand right, the new stuff then, you know, he says if I understand right when he clearly doesn't necessarily, but that's fine. My next guess, let's say it that way. My next guess is maybe the new code is making it so you don't need this, right? This is going to do it automatically. Whereas here, we called make transparent 0, and 0 was just black, it looks like, although I don't know how to I don't know how to know what color that is. Can we eyedropper this? Is that a thing? Does not seem to be a thing. I mean, that has to just be like pure black, right? 0, 0, 0, 0? Must be. So if your palette was in a different, does this say anything about the order of your palette? No. If your palette was in a different order, then my guess is this manual method here would not work, but I actually don't know. Maybe they always put it to where, but that's weird. But like, so you wouldn't be able to see the black either though, right? I don't know. Let's see, no it didn't. I just skipped any unknown chunks. I see, that's what it does. Use the eyedropper on the transparent. Oh, that's a good call. Nice. Yes, and that is, okay, that's all zeros. Okay. So if we turn this, so I'm on the old version with Python. We turn this off. We let this run again. We should get the box now, right? Yeah. Okay, now we have the box. And then if we keep the user code this way without make transparent, but we go and we swap back to the PR one, then we get no box again. Is that true? Did it actually restart? I think it's like saving still. Because I did this rename over here. I think that's actually like takes a second to actually go through or whatever. What? What? Why does that pop up? I guess it's asking me what I want on the other side. That's no load. I really, like, I've seen this happen before. I really think it's not seeing the new yeah, there we go. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but like it takes a while for CircuitPython to see the current version of the files sometimes when I change them. Especially if I just change them here or like save from an external file. Anyway, though, we did make it, and now with the same user code, we do not have make transparent 0, but it does still work. We get no box. We see through to the background. Sweet. Let me catch up, actually. Okay, here we go. Palette entry still has a color. Auto transparency will be awesome, though I'm used to manual transparency reordering the palette color maps in GIMP. Yeah, I'm with you there. Definitely used to that at this point. Something I never knew how to do before getting to CircuitPython. It became necessary. Yep. If the let's see, the transparency info is saved separately. That's so cool. PNG might be my new go-to format after this. We might. Will it still be 8-bit indexed? Or just 8-bit or true color? I think we don't get true color with this, so I think it's still indexed. Yeah, I think it would still have to be indexed. I don't know about the bits. True color and grayscale require a little bit of extra code because they use a simple form of pre-processing on the line. So we're done with it. So they have added, it looks like, delete at the end of for loop. Well, after the for loop. Nice. This, I think, is fine as well. We're in the process of switching to rough, which is going to change up a little bit the way all these things work anyway. It may not... it may either just not raise a thing, or it does still raise a thing. We'll need to do the... Well, it won't be a pilot ignore anymore, but we'll need to handle it with a rough ignore thing. What do they call that? No QA. Got to try to get into the rough mindset. The no QA. Relevant part of the spec. Transparency, let me see here. Did I miss one? No, okay. Transparent PNG could still have a lot of uses versus indexed BMP. I think it'll be easier for beginners who don't know how to reorder the index of a color map. Yeah. The other cool thing, too, this opens up the door for is potentially like just downloading a picture from the internet, being able to show it. Like, you don't necessarily find bitmaps on the internet too much these days. PNGs are pretty ubiquitous, though. I mean, JPEG is up there too, I guess, but... Relevant parts of the spec. When I was trying to use PNG ImageLoad, sometimes I get errors that filters aren't supported. I have no idea what that error means. I don't think this will, and to the best of my knowledge, that is the error you get when you have RGB, but I don't know. Oh, or grayscale, looks like, okay. So if you were using mode, one of these two modes, RGB or grayscale, then you'll get that error. And this change does not allow that to work. That will still be the same. But we are inching closer and closer, being able to support all the different ones. Oh. I'm trying out a new thing where I'm in like a different browser profile, which means I'm not signed in, which means I can't leave a review. So now I'm thinking, do I want to grab a different window or just do the review later? I think I'll just grab a different window. Whoops. So I need to convert it to indexed. Yep. It's downloading straight from Get avatar, so it puts you in a tough spot. Yeah, you would need unfortunately, somehow you would need to convert. Well, either you would need someone to implement inside ImageLoad the ability to do those types of images, or you would need some code somewhere to convert that PNG. There's a JPEG convert inside of Adafruit IO. I've never looked for other kinds. Maybe there could be a PNG one inside Adafruit IO. That'd be pretty cool if there was. I have no idea for sure if there is, though. Existing was on a Pi portal Pi 10.9.1.1. Looked into some old documentation about Adafruit IO image folder, but they may have removed it because they couldn't find anything. So, yeah, I think it was a weird one that was like not necessarily documented all the way or something. My memory on it's a little bit hazy, but the way that I recall it was I found a different project that uses it. It's the, I think, Cleveland Art. I don't remember exactly how it works, but I think this, I'm pretty sure this project basically, because like the Cleveland Art API itself is providing, I think, JPEGs, and then something in this project, I guess it must be inside PyPortal. Yeah, I mean, I guess inside of here it must be. Which that's like you'd have to dig into there if you wanted to find it, but it's like I'm pretty sure something like takes that URL for the JPEG and sends it to Adafruit IO and gets back A, B, and P, which like maybe that could work with PNGs as well. I don't know for sure, and I don't know exactly where that code is that does it. I was thinking it was here, but it's got to be deeper because that's just calling fetch and then nothing else basically. So image resize, it's probably in the resize process, because that's the other thing is it's taking what was a JPEG at a big size relatively, and then putting it down to be the same size as the display. So maybe if you look in PyPortal at the code that uses image resize, you might be able to find it. But to the best of my recollection, it was not actually documented. I don't think I've ever found documentation for it. I just kind of found it in this code in use. There's a really old Reddit question that referenced it, but nothing recently. Something inside PyPortal that led me that route too. There's an article that alluded to Adafruit IO having some kind of image formatter undocumented. Yeah. I don't have any more specifics, but I do think that that's there somewhere as well. Some kind of formatter that's in Adafruit IO. All right, awesome. Hug report to this person, CH4 in SUK3. They have now done 2 super duper sweet updates to ImageLoad library in the last week, which is cool. I can make a release real quick. .22. So we got new functionality. All right, awesome. The other one that I had in mind to look at is out of CircuitPython microcontroller land and into Blinka compatibility layer land. So this is a Raspberry Pi, which is going to be very difficult for you to see, and the cords leave me very little room to move it around, which is also why it is sideways. And unfortunately, it's just going to be sideways for now, because I don't have a way to wire it differently. But this is a Raspberry Pi with a TFT shield on top, and then it's using Adafruit Blinka Displayio. What? Is search with Amazon the default? I don't know. I have to look into that later. This is using Adafruit Blinka Displayio in order to run on the Raspberry Pi, and in the case of what I have running right here, use the, what is that, ILI 9341 display that is on that TFT. What do they call that? Shield? Is that a shield for a Raspberry Pi? Resize isn't an issue. Right, but even if you don't need to resize, you could just give it the original size and it might give you a bitmap. So like, how's it going, Johnny? It may work for converting as well, even if you're not like technically needing it to be resized. Yeah, definitely. Super cool stuff in ImageLoad. And then what we have here in Blinka Displayio, I saw actually just before I started here earlier today, workaround for using byte string as the data. Now I don't think that, so I believe this is for a specific kind of display, which I don't have set up. Yeah. Do I have one of those? Is that like, I mean, I definitely don't have one ready to use, so I'm not going to be able to test this on the actual hardware it's meant for. But what I can do is I can run this version of Blinka Displayio on the hardware that I have and make sure that it doesn't cause any trouble. Okay, I do actually have one of these. I guess we could... theoretically get this wired up to a Raspberry Pi. It's gonna be weird though. It would need to be like... I would need to use some jumpers. But I think that is not what I'm going to try to do right now. I do have there. I think I have one of these bigger ones too. Is that the same display then? Is that saying this uses an SSD? I don't know. Okay. Can you link to PR? Yes. I2C, so it's 2 wires and power. Yeah, I don't know where, I don't have all the wires and stuff ready to go. I don't want to like leave you all just hanging here while I'm digging around for the display itself, because I don't know where it is at. I'm pretty sure I have one of these feather ones, but I don't exactly know where. And then, broadly speaking, the jumpers that would be needed to wire it up, which are not necessarily super special, but they would need to be, in my case, either I need to clear off a feather doubler. I could stand to do anyway, because I got 3 feather doublers sitting here. Well, it's actually one tripler and 1 quad. I would need to clear off enough of one of those so that I could get some male jumpers into it, or use female jumpers. We'll see. Let me test it on this, and then maybe I'll take a peek. I don't want to get stuck just digging around for hardware though too long. But I will try this, and then maybe I'll run and take a look for it. The other thing, I don't know. I don't think do you have to do I2C separate? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if that requires a reboot or not. But I do know that I did not do that before. I only did spy the first time. I might have linked the issue and not the PR, did I? No, okay, I linked the PR. Yeah, for sure. Let me X this so we're not eating up all of the chat on the screen here. Oh, I can't see it. What? There's no X? What is that? We'll use this one, I guess. Okay, so to run this on the Raspberry Pi, we're gonna do some stuff here. So I'm in Blinka VMV, but is Blinka VMV, what I need to know is, when I run my test script, am I using this Blinka Displayio, or is there one inside of here that I'm using? Actually know how to figure that out either. I mean, I could rename it and then see if it breaks. There is a Blinka Displayio in there. I'm going to assume the one inside of there is the one that is in use. And in that case, what I am gonna do is pip uninstall Adafruit Blinka Displayio, so that that's gonna not be installed anymore inside the virtual environment. And then we're gonna go into the repo. We're gonna, do we have GH? No. I don't remember what this pops up. I don't know what it's going to show. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, that's not gonna work right now. So we need to check out this remote branch. Get remote add EA Graham Jr. Git fetch EA tab. Git checkout EA I2C buffer fix, probably? Yes. Does this tab complete? It does. That's pretty sweet. Okay. There we go. Now we have the modified version of Blinka Displayio. So we're gonna install that in the virtual environment. Pip install dot. We could do dot. We could do -e, and then that would make it so whatever's in the repo is always what we use. I think I'm gonna do without for now, so that I don't end up like changing it and then not realizing that I changed something. Okay, BRB. I'm gonna run to the restroom while it does that. BRB. Pip's dependency resolver does not currently take into account all packages that are installed. This behavior is the source of the following conflicts. Display text requires Blinka greater than 10, but you have 0. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. The truth is we don't really have 0. We have something much newer, but it doesn't know what it is because it doesn't get the version until it gets released or something, I think. Okay, so we're on the new version now, so I can go into the here. Let me modify it so we know that it worked. Nano ILI pi. I'll change this color to blue. That's the outline color. Let me actually change the other color. Let's leave green. change the other color here, purple. Let's change that to blue. And then we can change the text. Go away from Tabitha Jane, that's my cat's name, to hello deep dive. Save that, close it, and run it. It's kind of smashed, but okay. There we go. It takes it a second, obviously, as you can see. It is weird it drew the old buffer first. Like, it went white, and then it went old buffer, and then it went new buffer. That's kind of weird. I wonder where it's got that old data in there still. Interesting. Anyway, it's definitely working. We have blue in the middle. We have different text now, so we are good to go there. So another question, though, is going to be, even if I went and I found the display, so this is saying fix sleep and wake. I've never actually used sleep and wake. I guess we would need to use those to test this all the way too, though. Let's double check. So is this definitely the thing that is on this? Yes. Okay. It is very small. And then, so does it, so because I've never used sleep, do you just, they're just a sleep function, or? Yeah. So what so like, do you have to call wake before you update, or? I don't know. I've literally never messed with sleep. I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly. I guess that's probably per display, though, right? Not every display probably supports it. Okay, so we can say for sure this does not cause any ill effects on the spy display, because that's what I tested. I will, I guess, let me try. My other fear is I don't know if we unplug this, is that going to cause any trouble electrically? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. Hopefully not. So I will need what at a minimum? I will need, I mean, the easiest way to do it would be with this thing already having, I'm pretty sure it's already going to have male pins on it, male header pins. So if I had female jumpers to go from the male pins on the Raspberry Pi, 2 of them, well, we need 4 of them maybe, because we need power. So 4 female jumpers that go from the pins on the Raspberry Pi over to the pins on this Featherwing. It'll be wonky, but it should get the job done, right? Okay, let me try and find them. I give up if I don't find them within a minute or two. I don't want to spend very long with you all just staring at nothing happening. So bear with me. I'll try to find it. If I can't, then we'll do something else. But I am curious to give it a try. So let me run and see, and I'll be right back. Okay, that was actually easier than I thought. So good job to past him for having stuff relatively in a sane place. Is this the right thing? This is the thing I found. Yeah, 28 by 32 monochrome OLED featherwing. The back of mine is a bit different, honestly. But the I2C address is the same, and the fact that it says 128.3. You know, it's weird though. Mine does say revision D also, but it is totally different. Mine has all this stuff here on the left, and the Adafruit flower there. Well, I guess this does have the flower. But it basically, this one has all of that stuff scooted to the left and doesn't have all that stuff that was there. And I'm guessing that was just another slight different variant. I guess I will for now, though. So now I have never wired one of these up. So what we need to know, well, one thing we need to know, is there a, would we need a well, we don't really need a Raspberry Pi specific example. I guess this is the closest thing to what we want, but we're gonna need to, are we gonna need to do anything else? Maybe not, actually. This might just work. Might just work. Okay, let's clone this. Close, back. Let me make this bigger again. Make another one of those, just in case we end up needing to change it. We would need to wire up the power, ground, and I2C, SDA, and SCL, which I don't know off the top of my head, but it's one of the bottom two or whatever, right? Okay, on the far end of the short side, but I also don't know which is which by heart. We're gonna need a Raspberry Pi 3 B plus pinout. I want to get one with the full thing so I can know which way is what. Yeah, unhelpfully mine is the other way around also. Could flip it, I guess. And all the text is upside down. Oh well. That's a little... This one doesn't say 3B plus. Yeah, I don't know. I just want a big pinout picture. I don't really know which one of those, if any, is the right thing. I guess I can click this, but it takes me to here, which is not actually very helpful. Okay. Ah, why? So this happens to be more how it's like actually situated on my desk here. Yeah. Let me try to carefully unplug this display. Let's get 4 wires. Okay. We got yellow and blue, which are kind of traditionally I2C colors in the diagrams usually. Got red for power, and I've got green for ground, which doesn't necessarily normally act as that, except for in your house, but my house at least. Okay. I also don't know which one's ground and which one's power. A lot of videos on this one. Okay. So power is closest to the USB port. Well, this doesn't have a USB port though. But if it would plug into that, then that would have a USB port. Okay, so power is basically this one, and ground is this one. And our buttons are on the left. A long time ago, they did an update, the project page for every little silkscreen change or even revisions. Yeah, started doing that within the past couple of years. I just checked that they do have the pink version of the RP2040 listed in 2022 as a change. The pink PCBs were pretty, yeah. You can't get them, but I cherish the RP2040 because they're rare now. Yeah, I would agree. I've got the, I was stoked to get a pink feather as well. Well, mine was a feather. I guess they had a couple other RP2040 ones. I think I saw a keyboard one that was pink, I think, as well. I don't remember if I got it or not. Okay, so we're going 1, 2, 3. Fourth pin is ground. 1, 2, 3. Fourth pin is green for ground. Second pin, red for power. And then the I2C data pins are on the opposite side, all the way on the right edge. And SDA is on the far edge. Which is typically wired with blue. So blue on SDA, yellow on SCL, And then do we need whatever this is? This has a reset pin. Do we need to use a reset pin? We don't care about buttons. Reset button. I mean, I don't think we care about that, do we? I mean, that's showing... Okay, well, I mean, this one doesn't have it. Yeah, I mean, nothing is labeled as reset. I mean, that's the microcontroller reset pin. But in this one, I don't get the sense that it's getting... I mean, this is getting wired to D9, so presumably there's going to be some code that makes a digital in-out object on pin 9 and then uses it to toggle the reset of the display. But it looks like this one doesn't have that. Or at least doesn't make it clear which pin it would be on. And then obviously this doesn't show us the wiring. Basically just the top down of the feather. I mean, this gives me hope that we don't need to worry about it, because this one's using a stemma port and it doesn't have a reset pin wired. So... okay. Plot thickens. So, I mean, you would assume, I guess, this one has that too. I would. Well, let's actually, one more place we can check is in the code for that. What was the name of it? SSD 1306? Why is this not here? Didn't I clone it? Oh, I cloned it on the microcontroller. That'll do it, huh? I just did git clone. Shipped 1, 2, let me catch up. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, only the keyboard and the Feather RP2040 were pink. I got so many of the pink keyboards that I started giving them away. Nice, with the cowbells. Probably still have 10 pink keyboards. Nice. So you're ready to go on a keyboard making spree one of these days. Shipped one to D-Glad. He was stoked to get a pink keyboard. Reset that might have been impossible to come by. Yeah, the shipping over to Europe is a bit tougher. I think on some of that stuff. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's like now I'm more confused because it definitely should be here this time, but I forgot it's got Displayio in the name. Let's go to new window. Cancel that. We'll use that. Examples, Featherwing. Does this do any digital AIOing? Digital IOing? Digital AIOing? No. Digital IOing. It does not. We don't even import digital IO. So there's no reset pin. There's nothing like that going on in here. So we would kind of assume that we're going to be the same. So then we need to get... So I have the Feather side wired. So now we're on to the Raspberry Pi side. And I am going to use this one. So 3.3 volts is bottom right inside of this orientation. Let me do ground first, though. So ground is third pin on the left. A ground is third pin on the left, the one that I'm going to use. Could do this, maybe. I don't know how well you'll really be able to see me working, but... So third pin up, right? 1, 2, 3, third, okay. 2, 3, third pin. Left side. Okay. I'm actually going to wire power last, I think. I don't know if that's like proper or whatever, but it feels right in my head. Also going to break out a second copy of this so I can read them right side up and then... go from there. Where's I2C? I2C. No, that says ID. I2C 0. I2C 1. Are there 2? I don't see any other SDA SCLs. This does say I2C 0. I get, okay, ID, SD, ID, SC. I mean SD and SC. I don't know why it would be ID though. But it does call that I2C 0. And it calls this I2C 1. And I am leaning towards using I2C 1 because then all my wires are going to be right all around here, which is convenient. But the code just says board.I2C. I don't know what that is going to do or if that even works in Blinka. So we shall see. So SDA was blue wire. Is that right? Yeah. The SDA blue wire is second. So it's the opposite side from ground. The opposite side from ground, and it's the second pin. So we're kind of catty corner from ground, basically. Probably should have done... Let me actually do SCL first, since that one's farther away. So... that one is across from ground. And let's do this one next to it. Okay, and then 3 volts is actually just the next one down from there. Yeah, I almost just plugged it to 5 volts. 3 volts is on the right side, though. I don't know if it's... hopefully it's 5 volts tolerant. I don't know. I mean, luckily I didn't actually plug it in, so... Alright. I probably will not be able to get this in any sort of place where it's super easy to see because of the way the wires are, but we'll see where it goes. Even if you plug in 3 volts first, it'll just float the ground and not work anyway. I wire up in any order, doesn't matter, because you'll end up having to change the init code as you go anyway, at least one soft reboot, just out of habit anyway, so as long as you get the right wires, it probably doesn't matter. I gotcha. I always remember from like learning about jumping a car or something, I think they say ground first, although the truth is I never actually remember all the way. What type of camera are you using to stream the video? It is a Android phone. It is a LG something, couple years, I mean several, like probably 5 or 6 years old at this point at least. Just an Android device. And there's a program called IP Webcam, which you can get on the Play Store. And you install that program, and it's got a bunch of configurations when you launch it. And at the bottom, it's got a start server. And then when you start the server, you can access it in the browser over the IP address. Let me know if you have other questions about it. But it's the main things I think that are important about it. Yes. Do we need to do anything different? I'm gonna say we just give it a try like this. I did enable the I2C bus, but like I said before, I don't actually know if that will take effect without like a reboot or something, so I'm not sure if we're fully expecting that to work. I also don't know, I'm not familiar on Blinka with using I2C. I did actually test one thing, but I don't think I have the... I don't think I have the SD card that it was on anymore. So basically we're just gonna give it a try. Yeah, that makes sense. Drat. I need to get that installed. I guess here's what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go up to here, pip install dot. Big storm rolling in. Radar doesn't look like it yet, but I can tell I might lose power. I gotcha. Yeah, that was me. Not last night, but the night before. We had a storm rolling through, and the power was cutting out on us a bit in the evening. Luckily, it was like bedtime already, so it didn't really matter too much. But anyway, good luck. Hope for the best. And if you end up disappearing, no worries. And I'll just say, wish you a good evening for now, in case you do have to get cut off on us here. Okay, there's that. And thanks for hanging out as well. Let's see. Hi, Featherwing. Oh, look at that! Yeah, totally works. So yeah, again, I can't get a super good view of this because I have a Featherwing wired up to a Raspberry Pi, and you know, just how it goes sometimes. But it is totally working. Let's try with a sleep in there. Because that, remember, the thing we were fixing here was sleep and wake. So let's do this. Okay, that's not exactly what I want. Let's go, display.sleep, time.sleep for 3 seconds. Let's make a I equals 0, I plus equals 1. So sleep the display, wait for 3 seconds, wake up the display, and then change the display. So I'm gonna do text area dot text equals deep dive I deep dive? Deep dive. So increment I, sleep the display, wait for 3 seconds, wake up the display, change the text, and then we loop again. We're gonna basically do all that same thing. Now, one thing I don't know is, do we get to see the display during this sleep, or does it turn off? Maybe it turns off, in which case this logic doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But We'll see, because I don't actually really know what sleep's supposed to be doing. Print after the sleep to confirm a successful sleep. We can do print. Not used to not just being able to use tab for this. Print after display.sleep. We'll do a wake, do an after wake as well. Yeah, and then if this doesn't work, then I'll add another one after that, but I think that should be all we need. So it will do the hello world at first, but then it should start changing it. I didn't import time. Gotta actually import the modules you want to use. I guess that's fair. Don't know about it. So I don't think every display supports that. This SSD 1306 has it, but I don't think every display does. Oh, that's weird. We're not... Oh, I didn't change the code. And it totally is also... it totally is not showing us while it's asleep. So we need... I don't know why I came to here. We need to do that differently. So yeah, I don't think... what I was getting at, I don't think every display has sleep. I know this one does. This is the only one that I know for sure does, because it's the only one I've run across this functionality on. I mean, like, e-ink displays, but I mean, with e-ink displays, you don't really have to call sleep. They just kind of are asleep all the time, basically, but... Yeah, this one's an OLED, and I don't know, maybe that, I don't know if that's like, do all OLEDs have a sleep, or is that specific to this chip driver? That I don't know, necessarily. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sleep for 3 seconds. We are then gonna wake and then change the display. Also, let me change this. So I didn't actually update this. That's why we got a bunch of the same stuff. So after wake, we then update this. Let's do another time.sleep3. So it should be 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, and it should be updating the number every time if this is actually working. And it sleeps before it wakes, so it'll take 3 seconds to start. There we go. So deep dive 1, sleep, wake, deep dive 2. Did I leave an exclamation point in there? Sleep, deep dive 3. Yeah, totally seems to be working now. I'm not used to this, like, terminal is also the text editor. Keep trying to go back to PyCharm. Which I could do, actually. I have SSHFS, which is a way for connecting over SSH like it's a file system. I'll have to look into the SSD 1306 library and see if it's something I can implement on external display. Is it good for power savings? It's supposed to be, so this is all... like third hand or whatever. Like, I don't really have any of this knowledge myself, but I did see the thing. Pretty sure it mentioned in one of these things, it was like, did it say 10x or something, I thought? Where did I see that? I don't know where I saw it now. Maybe I didn't actually see it. Maybe I invented that memory. Is it in the code here? Okay, this is where it was. So here, and again, this is just in the code. I have no idea how it was measured or if it's definitely accurate or what, but it does document here the display uses less than 10 microamps in sleep mode. I don't know enough about electrical pixies to know how big or small that is, really. It sounds pretty small, though. Microamps, I think, right? It remembers the display data in operation mode active prior to sleeping. MicroPython can access/update the built-in display RAM. Not sure what that means. I guess that means like you can refresh it while it's asleep, and then when it wakes up, it'll show the new content? Is that what that means? That's my best guess. Okay. I think the only other... Oh. Actually... Wasn't it putting an exclamation point? So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The 12th character is an exclamation point. It's at index 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The 12th character is the I, but that's part of the format. Was it showing an exclamation point? It totally is. Huh. I don't think... I don't know what I think, actually. That is weird. I mean, my instinct is if we take it out of here, it will go away, right? So it's almost like it's not overwriting all of the bitmap or all of the label. Weird. Let's turn the sleeping time down a bit. And again, I keep forgetting that this is in the terminal. So let's do sleep for 1 and then wake for 3. I don't know, is that a bug in label? Or is that a bug in Blinka Displayio? It's actually, so it is regular label, not bitmap label. Let me... did I just change that to a 1? Let me put that back. When we get to 10, is it gonna overwrite, or is it gonna push it further? I almost want to make a new terminal. Alright, I was trying to hold it, but I am not going to make it, and I do need to run to the restroom again, so I will be right back. Okay, let that run, and then we'll see what it does. BRB. It overrode it. Okay. That was my guess. That was my guess. So we sleep and then wake and then update the display. Would it be any different if we update the display and then sleep? And then wake? Or would that not make a difference? So update the label, which will effectively update the display before we sleep. Save, run. Does make it not do that anymore. So that's probably a quirk of sleep somehow. When we were sleeping, somehow that was making it not update correctly. Not, I mean, basically it was not tracking the dirty regions right or something, right? It needs to erase that exclamation point, but because it didn't draw anything new there, it didn't do it. It just left it alone, but it should have somehow noticed that it was dirty and needs to change. 10 microamps. Let me catch up also, actually. Where are we at here? I have to look into okay. Yeah. Okay, I am. So let's see. For TFT displays, turning off the backlight is a huge power saving step. Reduces the heat significantly as well. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, backlight. 10 micro. Cat talking? Great for battery power projects. Somebody would have to use something like a power profile or a real scope, yeah. One of these days I'll get that PPK2 one or whatever. That thing seems pretty cool, but I don't have any use for it besides it seems cool and I could measure some stuff with it. The truth is it's still a bit over my head, but it does seem like a sweet utility. And buying one could allow me to actually get a better understanding of that stuff. Someone went through the trouble of power profiling it down to 10 microamps. Could probably be trusted as a real result. Is your text area dimensions correct for the display dimensions? Try something like remove splash and splash text, maybe layer append issue. Interesting if you can update the display while it's asleep. I feel like it's probably not a thing that should work if it's sleeping though. Well, in this case, so I mean with this one we update it before we sleep technically, but because it's like boom boom back to back, my assumption would be there's not enough time for the human eye to perceive it. If it would even refresh, it might not even actually refresh because it sleeps so fast. I don't know. I do think if we would remove it and re-add it, it would probably fix it. Splash. No, that is what I want. Yeah, splash dot remove text area. Splash dot append text area. Okay, sorry. Heard the unmistakable sounds of a cat getting into something, but it shouldn't. I'm kind of curious actually, because I don't really understand why it's doing what it's doing, and this will let me learn a little bit more about it at least. So I'm kind of curious to at least try this. Like, my hypothesis is that this will fix it basically as well, because I think this will effectively erase everything that was on the screen before. Maybe remove doesn't work like that. Do you seriously have... Are you for real, bud? Stop. Went right back to digging in the same plastic bag. Can you believe this? Sure, the octopus is within arm's reach here, because I have a feeling that's going to become necessary. How do you get line numbers? Nano line numbers. Alt Shift 3. Shift 3. So 65 is append, and it thinks it's in a group still, so I don't know. Is there a race? Are we just like race conditioning or something? Should we give it another like tiny sleep? Is that... Nope. Is remove not a function? Splash. So splash is a group. Group extends list. List has remove. This doesn't seem like it's working though. I mean, we could try pop instead, but... Pop the last item, which should be the text area. Okay. That makes it run, but it does not fix the exclamation point. So my hypothesis was wrong. Which actually makes me think that might be a bug with label. But I mean, it must be with the sleep too, though, because the way when we removed it to here, it changed. Anyway, to find out for sure, it would be worth testing basically the same code on a different display without the sleep and see if it has the same problem where it's like letting that exclamation point stay around or not. But I'm not going to do all of that right this second. Text area.text has to be after append. Here? I mean, I don't think it matters too much. I think you can do it. I think you can do it in any order. I think, like, technically there's probably some time between this and this when, like, the display could actually maybe refresh. So there could potentially be some perceivable time after you update the text before it gets removed. My instinct is that it would be so fast you couldn't, like, a human eye probably couldn't perceive it, but it might be there if the auto refresh happens to trigger. That's the other thing here is we have an auto refresh thread basically that's running in its own thread, just calling refresh every so often, kind of as fast as it can or whatever. I don't know for sure if it's a problem though, right? Like before an issue is made, I would say it needs to be tested on a different display without sleep. So like back on the Pi portal maybe or something. And then if label does the same thing on another display without sleep, then yes, definitely I think an issue in display text is where the next step is at, basically. Okay, I think we will leave a review on this because we found it to be working, and then I'll probably be wrapping it up after that. So if anyone has got any more questions, comments, or anything else you'd like to share, now is the time. John, how's it going? John J, I mean, excuse me. John and backwards John. Just joining in, wanted to say hi. How's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Unfortunately, I'm going to be wrapping it up here in the next couple minutes, so you caught the very tail end, but you can always go back and check the rest of the VOD if this is interesting to you. I've been working on some Displayio stuff, so we did some PNG support, PNG transparency support earlier on the Pi portal, and then moved over to the Raspberry Pi to test out this Blinka Displayio PR. If that kind of stuff is interesting to you, then the old VOD is there for you. This is going to be super slow. Maybe instead of send, it could take an optional command argument and add it to command bytes before the rest of the data is specified. Yeah, I have no idea about the speed at all, truthfully. Send instead of spend, maybe instead send could take an optional argument command and add it to command bytes. So are we basically calling send twice? Is that the 92? I don't have Blinka. My guess is that's saying that it's calling send twice, basically, right? Where are we at here? Init, ITC bus display. Go back to main for now, update. $92. This is main though, not the PR one, but it does. So here we begin transaction, we display command, and then we end transaction. And so if I'm understanding correctly, the Shipu's suggestion basically is append that extra stuff into this and then only call send once, rather than what I'm assuming is there if we go GHPR. Wait, let's get remote. Okay, GHPR, no, GH, what is it? Repo set default. Adafruit. $138. It is still only calling once. Was there a new commit already? No? Let's look at the changes all the way. Oh. Do command bytes before the rest of the data. I don't actually understand. This is a bit over my head, honestly. The intricacies of the I2C drivers, I kind of get it at a conceptual level. It's reading and writing from registers in there, but I don't really have a more deep understanding of it. I don't really understand the suggestion all the way, I guess. So we will be checking this every time. Always a pleasure watching you work on variety Displayio stuff, coffee and code. Yep, I'll be back in the morning tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time. For anybody that doesn't know, I usually stream on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Time, and I will be back tomorrow at that time, 10 a.m. Central. It will be over on my own channel rather than Adafruit, but I drop the links in the same live broadcast chat when I'm getting started. Always of interest, just not a direct relevance, I suppose. I'm mostly interested in learning, observing the process. I've been trying to get in a dev environment up and running recently. I gotcha. Nice. It's nice to have you hanging out, watching along. The send function iterates over the data anyways. Okay, so it's inside of there. Pairing mode. How do we go to pairing mode? It's got disconnected from my Bluetooth. You're saying inside of here. Also kind of going. Send function iterates over the data array anyway. Instead of doing a costly operation of creating the list, you can make it add the command to the beginning in the send. This is a different place. So this basically right here, this is and so then it would be, yeah, and I apologize, I'm slow on the uptake here. So then the suggestion basically is, instead of making this list outside of here, it would be add an extra argument to send, like up here somewhere, and then internally go and add that in without the need for calling list, basically? Is that... But you would, well, let's see. For list data. Yeah, I don't know. That part of it's a bit over my head, truthfully. I will comment on there and just say that I tried it, and I can leave it at that for now. But that level of it is a bit beyond me, truthfully. Instead of doing bytes command data, you would do command data as separate arguments and then handle it inside a send. I gotcha. Okay, that part I'm following. I'm with you there. So basically, yeah, that would be like a comma, and then that would be another argument listed here after data. And then down inside of here, before we do the actual business end of the writing, somewhere in here, I'm assuming, we would then go and attach that extra stuff onto this thing, which will then get written. And that's creating a byte array, I see. So basically we're creating, so the way it's written right now, we're creating a list outside there, and then we're turning around and creating a byte array inside of here. And you're saying we could skip the list altogether. We could just take that raw value from the thing it's in, which is like a string or something, I think it said, right? And it could take it from there and put it into this byte array without ever passing through the list function and creating that list object. I don't know why I air quoted list there, but the exclamation point? B plus. Yeah, I don't know. Totally just lost the Lost the Bluetooth there. Tested that successfully on Raspberry Pi B Plus. We'll say in these 3 scenarios with a SPI display. Sure this change doesn't cause any trouble with them. It didn't. With a SSD 1306, is it? 3306? It was 1306. With a 1306, without using any sleep functionality. Sure, the default behavior is still working as intended. It does. Okay, I'll leave that as a comment, since there is a request to change the code up a bit. And yeah, I am going to wrap it up for now there. So thank you to everyone for watching. Thanks to Displayio for taking a look at a couple of these PRs and offering some feedback on them. Thanks to everybody with questions, comments, and everything else in the chat. As mentioned a few minutes ago, I'll be back tomorrow morning over on my own channel, 10 a.m. Central Time. Working on some more CircuitPython stuff. To the best of my knowledge, I believe Scott is back next week, or what I should really say is I have not talked to Scott about next week, so as far as I know right now, the plan is for him to be back on Deep Dive next week, but that could change. I don't know. Can't hold either of us to it, but that is as far as I know right now. I hope everyone watching has a good night. Thank you. Thanks again to Adafruit. Yeah, I will see you all in the morning if you want to hang out for some coffee and some more coding. Otherwise, see you later. Scott will potentially be back next week.